Hello, guys. Welcome to the first episode of All Things Liverpool from JJ's Football Corner. Hope you guys are doing well. Normally, I would just record this in OBS, but I just thought that I would go live because it's probably a little bit easier that way. Although, with OBS, there are certain things that you can set up with, like the banner and so on and so forth. Um, so hopefully this will be easier. I don't know if anybody will be joining live. I doubt it because my channel is not that big as yet. But anyway, I just wanted to just talk about Liverpool a little bit. Bradley Barcola and the transfers beyond, as the episode has said. So, I'm very pleased that we got Barcola over the line. 100 million pounds plus 20 million add-ons. I think that's very good value for money, especially in this kind of transfer market where we see players, for example, like Morgan Rogers, who, is going for, 116 million. We see Elliot Anderson for, I believe, 117 million. So to get a winger of his pedigree, Champions League winner, um, you know, and yeah, to get a winger of his pedigree for 120 million total, I think that's very good value for money. And like I said, I'm very pleased with that very pleased with that sort of purchase, from Liverpool. That's the sort of winger that will elevate us. Now, we still have to be patient with him because, I don't believe that he's played competitively necessarily from, from preseason. I'm not sure that he actually played competitively for France. Sorry, not for France, for PSG. I know he was in training and all of that. But I'm not exactly sure that he was playing competitively, for them. I'd have to check. But so we still have to be patient with him. It's gonna be his first time in the Premier League. With Liverpool fans have this thing where sometimes we heap a lot of pressure on these players. We don't really give them time to really gel with the club and gain that momentum that they need, and really give some positive feedback to the players. I think we have to be patient with Barcola. We need to remember that he is still 23 years old, and yeah, we just have to be patient with him. We just have to be patient with him and hope that he comes good for us. I look forward to what he will do, what he will bring to the Prem. What does this mean for Gakpo? Now, there are a lot of fans who, for whatever reason, they want Gakpo um, sold. No, I'm not one of those fans. I do believe that for Liverpool to improve, we need to add to what we already have, right? I don't believe that we need to sell Gakpo at all. I can understand why some people would say, "Well, where is Rio gonna play?" I don't think Rio is ready. I've said that in one of my videos. You can check it out on my channel. I don't think Rio is ready. So I don't have a problem with Gakpo actually staying. Right? I don't have a problem with that. I think Gakpo should stay. I hope we don't sell Gakpo actually. I think for now, Rio can rotate with Munoz on the right. I think Munoz is actually ahead of Rio on the right. Because I don't think Liverpool is gonna get a right winger, to be honest with you. We took so long to get Barcola. I don't see Liverpool in the next 5 days, you know, getting a reputable right winger in. I mean, we were linked with Minte, who, let's be honest, he was injured, right? And we still couldn't get that over the line. We're going for Sar. Two different profile players. Like Sar and Minte are, they're very different players. So, we seem to be all over the place when it comes to right wing. I just think that for the time being, um they'll probably just tell Iraola that, hey, look man, you're gonna have to work with Rio and Munoz on the right for now, and then probably we re-evaluate right wing in January or next summer. I mean, I hope we get a right winger, but I'm not gonna, you know, put my hope out there that we getting a right winger. So for now, I just think keep Gakpo, have Barcola and Gakpo rotate on the left. And Gakpo can also play, striker should, Isak need a rest or something like that. I just don't think we need to get rid of Gakpo. Unfortunately, I do think, if we want that central defensive midfielder because we're linked with Lamine Camara, I know Monaco is probably going to want 50, 60 million for him. I think I think Liverpool unfortunately will probably end up selling Gakpo to fund that by for Lamine Camara, whichever central defensive midfielder we end up going for. And by the way, I do believe that we need a central defensive midfielder. I cannot believe that you have tacticals on Twitter saying that, oh yeah, we don't need a CDM because of some quote that Iraola said that was completely taken out of context. Iraola didn't say that we didn't need a central defensive midfielder. He basically said that, look, Gravenberch has qualities on the ball where he can get forward. But he needs to learn that balance where if someone's like goes, you stay because you're part of the pivot, right? I hear all that, but to me, I just think that Liverpool needs an actual out and out central defensive midfielder that his like their main mindset, right, is to defend. Right, I think that's what Liverpool needs. I think Liverpool needs a kind of central defensive midfielder that wants to hold the ball, kind of like what Fabinho did, screen the field and be like, okay, I need to intercept this, I need to stop this, and whatever. I think football has shifted away so much from the fundamentals that you have people who are like, oh yeah, we want a ball playing six. Yeah, that's all good and dandy, but the truth of the matter is, even if you're a ball playing six, you still need to have that presence of mind that I need to shield my defenders. I need to shield midfield. I need to be a wall in midfield. I think so many of our players just have this mentality where they just want to get forward all the time, get forward all the time. And it hurts the team, man. I mean, I was watching that match with Newcastle, and especially the first goal. Well, I mean, both goals were very, very, very similar. It reminded me of a goal that Bournemouth scored against us with Semenyo. It's the same thing where there's like a breakdown in midfield, and or we lose the ball at the edge of the box in the opponent in the opponent's box. We lose the ball, and it's just one pass, one counter, and that's it. Dead, dead. That's the problem with Liverpool. Like we can't continue to play like that where we're that open, where all of our midfielders basically just just lack that sort of how can I put this? They just lack discipline. They don't want to do the defensive work because I guess it's not fancy enough to them. Or maybe it's not that it's not fancy to them. It's just a case where they're not inclined to defend, right? Like they're not inclined to defend at all. And so you just end up in a situation where, everybody is bombing forward, right? Unfortunately, everybody is bombing forward for Liverpool. And then the midfield is just exposed. The midfield is just completely exposed. So, man, I hope we get that central defensive midfielder in. We need whether it's Camara, whether it's Stiller from I believe Stuttgart. We just need a central defensive midfielder, guys. Like we need one. Liverpool need a central defensive midfielder. I cannot believe that we haven't replaced Fabinho. Fabinho left what, 2023, and we still have not actually replaced him. That's not good enough. That's not good enough. And when we look and see that, other clubs seemingly are going out of their way to renew. I mean, Manchester City just spent 300 million, basically, right, on their midfield. When was the last time Liverpool bought midfielders? When was the last time we bought Gravenberch was bought when? 2023? I think that was the last time we bought midfielders. Or maybe it was McAllister for 35 million. I get the timelines mixed up, but it's basically been 2 or 3 years since Liverpool actually reinforced midfield. That's not good enough. That's woefully inept. That's woefully inept. And that brings me to my next point where I want to talk about Richard Hughes. Now, a lot of fans, and I realize that fans in this day and age are very fickle in terms of they change their mind very easily. So yes, we got Barcola over the line, and I'm very pleased with that. Very happy. I am very happy with Barcola. I do, like I said, if you missed the first part of what I was saying, I do think we still need to get a right winger, right? But very happy with Barcola at left wing. People are now saying, "Oh yeah, we need to apologize to Hughes." Why do we need to apologize to Richard Hughes? For what? For what? Why do we need to apologize to Richard Hughes? Richard Hughes messed up our transfer window. We should have had a right winger in. We from June, July, because we knew that Salah was leaving from in March. I said this, on a couple of my videos. You can check it out on my channel. Salah was leaving from March. How is it that no, we still don't have an out and out right winger? We still don't, guys. We actually still don't have an out and out right winger, right? And if it is that, okay, let's say you wanted Minte, okay? Why is it that we're waiting now until Minte is injured? Why didn't we get Minte from in June, July? Why didn't we do that? If we wanted Sar, again, different profile from Minte, but let's say we wanted Sar. Why didn't we try and get Sar from the moment he was out at this team was out of the World Cup? Why wait 5 days before the transfer window? So I'm sorry, man. Even if we do end up, getting, those transfers over the line, so what? I'm not gonna let Richard Hughes over the line because he has neglected several things. We still don't have competition for right back. Connor Bradley is out for basically this season. And there are deficiencies when it comes to Frimpong. I like Frimpong. I hope it works out for Frimpong. But let's be honest, there are deficiencies in Frimpong's game, right? For some reason he can't seem to get a pass, past the defenders. I don't know. But there are deficiencies in Frimpong's game. So we need a right back, right? I'll argue we even need a left back because I don't think Simicas is better than Kirkes. And Kirkes has his issues, but I'm willing to give Kirkes time because he's young, and I do believe, Iraola got, Kirkes to play very well. So I do believe there's a player there, and Iraola can probably turn that around, right? But we need right back, guys. We need a central defensive midfielder. We need a right winger. These are issues that we had before this summer with transfer window started. And we still have not actually sorted that out. So I mean, Richard Hughes gets us a C minus from me in terms of this window. I wouldn't say he failed because I mean, come on, we did get Victor Munoz, which was I think Victor Munoz will turn out to be a sleeper hit. We got Ronald or Araujo, which a lot of fans were against that, and I'm like, what's wrong with Ronald Araujo? I think there's a decent centre back there, right? And we got Barcola over the line. That's a C minus in terms of what we actually needed going in. because I didn't think we necessarily need a left winger. But I'm very happy because I do believe that Barcola is better than Gakpo, or at least he offers more than Gakpo in certain areas, right? Um, so yeah, and then let's talk about like in terms of like the lineup for Sunday. Um, so yeah, I think we're gonna go with and once I get better at this, obviously I'll be able to put up graphics and team sheet and all that. So on Saturday actually versus Nottingham Forest. Now, unfortunately, that's gonna be against Oliver Glasner, who, for whatever reason, man, his Crystal Palace team just had a ticket, man. That man was just beating us for fun last season. Sut couldn't figure him out, and that was very unfortunate. That Sut just could not figure out Glasner at all. That's just Glasner just got the better of him. So we're going to that first game on on Saturday, and I don't think it's gonna be easy. And it would have been nice if we had our transfers in to face Forest. Imagine if we had Barcola versus Forest. That's the sort of thing I'm talking about. If we had Barcola and I don't know, let's say Minte was fit and we bought Minte from in July. If we had Barcola, Isak, Minte against Forest, that's a much better proposition going into the weekend. You feel much better, right? You feel better about that Forest match. You feel like, yeah, we can, But I do think that Forest match is not gonna be easy. I don't think so. I wouldn't write them off. I do think we'll win 2-1. My game week predictions is on my channel. You can check out my charts. Where I predicted, that we'll beat Forest 2-1. I don't think it will be an easy match. I don't think we have enough though. Honestly, for that match, I'd start Munoz on the right wing. I think there are a lot of fans, for example, who they, you know, they kind of elevate Rio beyond what he is. I don't think Rio is ready. I don't think Rio is ready at all. So for me, I'd start Munoz on the right. Um, Hopefully Gakpo is still here. I'd start Gakpo on the left. And Isak up top, obviously. In midfield, Words. By the way, let me talk about Words. Like I did a shorts on him as well. You can check it out on my channel, JJ's Football Corner. There are a lot of people who are unloading on Verts, Florian Verts. And I do think that we have to have some nuanced conversation about Florian. The truth of the matter is Florian is in a team where, like I said earlier in my video, you have two midfielders in Soboslai and Gravenberch who want to bomb forward, and they bomb forward into the position that Florian would occupy. So where is he gonna go? Right? He's looking for the pass, the give and goes, which is what his game is. Who is he giving it to when he collects the ball and by the time he looks, Soboslai is sprinting away, Gravenberch is sprinting over yonder. There's nobody to pass the ball to, right? Um, does Florian probably need to be more assertive? Yes, I think so. I think Florian needs to be more aggressive on the ball. I think he needs to demand the ball more. Um, you know, to be honest, the Premier League doesn't have time for the fancy. So sometimes you just have to be a bit of a bully. And he has to develop that. I think he has to develop that in his game. Excuse me. To become, a Premier League great. But I don't think we're scapegoating him. I do think you have some fans that are scapegoating Florian, and I don't think that's fair on him, because that performance yesterday that performance against Newcastle was not down to Florian. It was actually down to Gravenberch, because I think Gravenberch misplaced two passes and we got countered. And then nobody put a tackle in on that second goal. I mean, that was absolutely ridiculous to see, by the way. That was I don't know what that was. That was actually ridiculous. But yeah, so I'd still start Wirtz in my midfield. I'd actually start McAllister if he's fit. I'd start McAllister and Soboslai. think McAllister is more, kind of defensively oriented. And obviously, we're not gonna get a central defensive midfielder tonight to start on Saturday. So I start McAllister, Wirtz, and Soboslai. In defense, the defense picks itself. Frimpong, Jeremy, Van Dyke, and Kirkes, right, with Allison goal. So that's what I would go with. Um, you know, I think that should be enough to beat Forest. Like I said, it's not gonna be easy because they do have Gibbs White. They have players that can hurt us, especially on the counter. So we have to be on the lookout for that. I just think Liverpool is such a special club, man. And if you're listening, or when you eventually listen to this, if you're a Liverpool fan, you understand this. It is very difficult for us fans knowing what Liverpool wants and seeing the board kind of just not go out and get those players. It's so frustrating because it's so obvious that Liverpool just needs one or two key signings to compete. We don't need mega signings. We just need one or two signings in key areas. And we can compete, right? Not necessarily that we're going to win the league, but we can compete. That Liverpool can compete if we just need to get, a couple signings in, man. Get that CDM, get that right back, get that right winger. We make it so complicated for ourselves. And, I did a video where I said that for whatever reason, Liverpool always it's like we have this underdog mentality at Liverpool, right? Where we hey, welcome FTCR. Welcome. It's actually one of my first streams. Welcome. Um yeah, so we have this thing at Liverpool where you know it's almost like we want to be underdogs, right? Like we want to, in a sense, suffer. I don't know if that's the right word. Like we want to suffer, to say, oh, look at the tribulations that we went through to win. And I'm like, why do you want that? Why don't you want Liverpool to be a big club? I don't get that. Like, I want Liverpool to go to these clubs and be like, hey, listen, I hear that Kamavinga, for example, is unhappy. How much would it cost? Here's 80 million. Here's 90 million. Let's get Kamavinga to play CDM for us. You see, Alvarez is unhappy. Maybe Alvarez can play right wing. I don't know. Like, go to Atletico. Like, there are just things that I just don't see Liverpool doing. To, like, we always want to go in sharp. And I'm telling you, you will have fans who are happy that Liverpool, bought Barcola. And if Liverpool came out now and said, well, look, we spent 120 million on Barcola, we can't buy anybody else. You will have fans who are happy with that, right? You have fans who are happy with Liverpool going into a season half baked. And I just don't understand that mentality. Liverpool always, and we did it so many times under Klopp, where we went into a season understaffed. Let me use that word, understaffed. Like, why do we do that? Why do we do that to ourselves? We know we need a CDM. We know we needed a right winger from in March, right? Sorry for repeating myself, but we knew that. So why didn't we, sort out that sort of thing, man? Like, I don't get it, man. I don't get it, man. You know, I don't get it at all. I want Liverpool to win things, right? I know we're not gonna win the league. I don't think we're gonna win the league this season. This is a shootout between Arsenal and Man City, most likely. I think at some point Chelsea will fall off because of their defense. I don't, So I'm not looking for Liverpool to win the league. I'm just saying, let's compete, man. You understand me? Like, we have a new manager who plays a certain brand of football that is exciting, that we can get behind. So then why not just support him? Like, why make it so difficult? I don't know. I don't get it. But you have Liverpool fans who support the FSG no matter what. They'll still show their support. They'll still buy the club merch and stuff like that, right? They'll still do it. It doesn't matter. As a matter of fact, Manchester United has a similar problem where their board has convinced them that Tielemans, Santos, and Baleba is enough. No, Baleba is a talented player. Santos is a talented player. Tielemans has proved himself to be talented, right? But is that enough to say Manu wants all the highest honors? Is that enough to say you're gonna win the league? Somehow they've convinced them of that. I don't know, man. But United problems are United problems. I'm talking about Liverpool. So I was actually talking with a friend of mine about possible right wingers that we could get. There's Haj Musa that we could go for. There's that guy Dario Osorio that we could go for. I mean, there are names out there. There are right wingers out there. It's just for Liverpool to kind of go out there, man, and get these players. Let's read this from FTC. We need a proper six first. Cause Grab said himself he's attacking more freely. Yeah, we listen. FTC, look, we do need a proper six. That's what I've been saying, right? That we need a proper six, right? We I know we're linked with Camera, and I can throw other names out there. Stiller, for example. Patrick Berg is another name that I throw out there. Yeah, so we definitely need a six, right? Somebody who can just screen that midfield, man. Because, like I said, look, Gravenberch is a good player. Gravenberch is a good Gravenberch is a good midfielder. I'm not gonna say he's not. But at the end of the day, you cannot shirk if you're playing in a six, you cannot shirk your duties because it make you play more freely. Like you can't shirk your duties because then who is gonna back you up? Because let's be honest, Van Dijk isn't what he once was, right? He's not, Van Dijk's pace has fallen off, right? Let's be honest. And Araujo is new to the league. Jake is young, right? So you're putting too much stress on the back line to shield your deficiencies. If you're the CDM, you need to be able to sit. And you know, man, there's just so much I would say about Liverpool that I just wish we were more proactive because, like I say, like all of these things, we knew before. We knew we needed a six. We knew we need this. We knew we need that. But I'm not gonna be super 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 negative. I like I said, I'm gonna wrap up. As it approaches to the half an hour mark. Thank you, FTC, for tuning in. Um, hopefully you'll share and subscribe as well if you've not subscribed. Um, so I'm gonna be wrapping up. So like I said, in conclusion, I'm really happy for Barcola. I think that's a stellar signing for Liverpool. Value for money, I think, especially like I said, in this kind of transfer window where, like I said, Rogers for 116 kind of just tell you where we're at. I think, it's the transfer window is on its head. It's crazy. The transfer window needs some antipsychotic medication. It's crazy out here what some of these players are going for. I'm telling you, by next season, Garnacho will cost 90 million. Yeah, I'm telling you, like by next season, Garnacho will cost 90 million. It's crazy what's happening in the transfer window. So I'm happy with Barcola. I do believe that there are right wingers out there that we need to get. But my priority would actually be right wing. Listen, Richard Hughes, please just go and get a central defensive midfielder. Like I don't think rival fans or even some of our own Liverpool fans understand how much an out and out central defensive midfielder would elevate this team. I'm telling you, man. Like, I'm sorry if I seem like overexcited, but like it's right there. It's right there, steering us in that huge gap in midfield that you could graze cattle in. You could graze cattle in Liverpool's midfield. You could put an airstrip in Liverpool's. Thanks, man. Thanks for subscribing. You could put an airstrip in Liverpool's midfield to how wide and open that gap is. Right? You could plant crops in Liverpool's midfield. All it needs, man, is that proper holding midfielder. Imagine if Liverpool just got that proper holding midfielder with all the other players that we have. That's all we need, That's all we need, man. And Liverpool would be good to go, man. I don't necessarily say we win the league, but we'll be good to go, man. Oh my god, man. I just hope we do that. So guys, I'm really looking forward to the match on Saturday. I hope it's a victory for us. I predicted 2-1. I just want us to win, man. 1-0, 2-1, 3-2, 3-1, 3-0, whatever. I just want us to win. Also, I just quickly just toss in FPL assets. Yeah, so I have Isak. I think I'll keep Isak for this week. I can see Isak getting a goal against Forest. The UCL draw is happening right now. I should probably check that out. All right, I'm gonna be watching the UCL draw. I don't think I'm set up right now to be live streaming for both. Or maybe I could end the stream and then do a UCL draw reaction. Yeah, let's do that. Thanks, FTC. I might see you guys back in a bit.